Welcome to the de Havilland Aircraft Museum. This wonderful aircraft behind me is the latest exhibit at the museum, the DH-89A Dragon Rapide. It's 34 feet long. The biplane wings are 45 feet and the finished aircraft weighs nearly 2.5 tons. And it's been painstakingly restored over the last 30 years by a dedicated team of volunteers. Originally, this aircraft was built in 1945, and the museum acquired it in 1993. This latest restoration sees it being painted in the colours of Hillman's Airways, one of the early pioneering airlines which later got amalgamated into British Airways. So where did this Dragon name come from? Well, it starts back after the end of the First World War. De Havilland started off by converting aircraft such as the DH-9 and producing a passenger carrying version such as the DH-18, of which you can see a model at the museum. But that proved insufficient for a lot of demands from the various airliners. The next stage was to take a basic aircraft like the Tiger Moth and added a different fuselage to it to generate an aircraft known as the Fox Moth. The Fox Moth was very popular with aircraft companies such as Hillman Airways. Hillman Airways themselves had originally been a coach company, but they had diversified into becoming an airline. After the Fox Moth, it became clear that yet further demand was still there. And so de Havilland were approached about building a twin-engined aircraft, and this resulted in the DH-84 Dragon Moth. That was then perpetuating the original Moth nomenclature. The Dragon Moth, or Dragon as it later became called, proved extremely popular with aircraft companies, but demand continued to increase. And in response to that, de Havilland brought out a 4-engined version of the Dragon, known as the DH-86 Express or Express Airliner. This proved particularly popular down in Australia with Qantas Airways. The Dragon had been capable of handling 4 or 6 people, but further demand was there as well. So thanks to the introduction of the new 6-cylinder Gypsy 6 engines, de Havilland were able to redesign the Dragon, introduce a new wing planform, slightly larger fuselage, and the resulting aircraft was the one that's behind me now, the DH-89 Dragon Rapide. Originally it was known as the Dragon 6, but the name Dragon Rapide soon picked up, and for many people this is simply known as the Rapide. So the Dragon Rapide is a short-range airliner and it's capable of carrying up to 8 passengers. Prior to the outbreak of the Second World War, over 200 of these aircraft were manufactured for airlines and other private owners all around the world. When the war broke out, many of the civil Rapides were acquired by the RAF and Royal Navy. The military called these Dominis and used them for radio and navigation training, for passenger transport and communication missions. Hundreds of Dominis were constructed during the war. And post-war, many military aircraft were later returned to civilian service. Many people think that the Dragon Rapide was the most successful British-built short-haul commercial passenger airliner to be produced during the 1930s. It's a worthy addition to the de Havilland Aircraft Museum range of de Havilland aircraft and exhibits. As you can see, the restoration has been slow and painstaking. The aircraft has effectively been stripped down and totally rebuilt piece by piece. After many years, the aircraft is standing on its own wheels again, and the tailplane has been reattached. The stub wings are on, but the main wings still have to be attached, as do the famous Gypsy 6 engines. The fresh paintwork on the aircraft is the blue and white colours of Hillman's Airways, which is a fitting tribute to that early aviation pioneer. As we've already mentioned, this Rapide was actually originally built as a Domini. The Domini, of course, is the military version of the Rapide, slightly different layout with the doors and everything. Whilst they were restoring this aircraft, when they looked at this main spar, they discovered there was a bullet hole. So where had that come from? Well, this particular aircraft wasn't completed until 1945, so it clearly didn't see service during the Second World War. So how had it acquired this damage? We do know that after it was built, it was used in Iraq, so maybe over there. But subsequently in 1958, it was actually used in Algeria. And my guess is that this damage may well have been caused after 1958 when it was in Algeria. But how did it happen? If you look at the angle of the entrance of the bullet hole, this doesn't appear to have been a shot from the ground. If you're looking at the orientation of the spar, the bullet hole seems to have entered from the front. My guess, therefore, is that the plane was probably on the ground, and it was probably involved in some of the various military conflicts that happened during Algeria in the late 1950s. But that's pure speculation. What we do know, though, is this spar definitely needed to be changed. As well as the Dragon Rapide itself, the museum also has a number of examples of the famous Gypsy 6 engine, which was used to power the Rapide. And that's one of the reasons why the aircraft was often known in the early days as the Gypsy 6, due to this 6-cylinder engine, which in turn was derived from the original Gypsy Major. So this is the DH-89 Dragon Rapide, the ultimate example of a series of aircraft that went right the way back to the beginning of de Havilland, or the Dragon 6 as it was also known as. And I think it's very appropriate that it's been painted in Hillman's Airways colours to reflect the history and the contribution that they made to this development of these type of aircraft. I hope you've enjoyed this video, in which case please share, please like and subscribe, and do check out our website so that you can find out when our opening times are. You'll get the opportunity to come down to the museum, maybe to chat with some of the guys who are doing the restoration work and see the progress we're making on this Dragon Rapide. Personally, I can't wait to see it when all the wings are on and it's all completed. See you at the museum.